We'll close today if you have some practical applications, things for you and for your family. In light of all that we heard as we close out our lesson today, these are some things I want you to take hold of. It would be good just to know information, but to have some application is very helpful as well. What do I do now? What can I do in light of all that? Number one, I would encourage you, fast and pray, especially if you're not actively evangelizing and you haven't in a long time and you never really understood what it means or how it works. Fast and pray. And I would encourage you, in that time of prayer, get your priorities right. Get your priorities right. For what purpose are you here? Why are you living? Is Christ the center of your life, or are you the center of your life? What is the center of your life? It should be Jesus. That's where true life is. That's what we're called to do, to live for Him, if we've been redeemed. Do what I call here the Lordship test. I was first made aware of this idea. Something you can do is once in a while in your life, just pause and stop and draw a little house on a piece of paper, a house, and put brick shapes on the house, okay? And then write in each of those bricks. So here's my house, here's my life, my finances. Who do those belong to? Who's Lord of my finances? Am I Lord, or is Jesus? My relationships, my friendships. Who's my marriage? Who's Lord of these? Is it me or is it Jesus? Who's running my relationships? Your money, your resources, your time. How are you using your time? Your smartphone. Who's Lord of your smartphone? Use it the way God would have you use it. When you watch YouTube, who's Lord of that for you? Are you watching what the Lord would have you watch, or something else? Go through all the different areas of your life. I might do a separate teaching just on this because it is so important and it is so helpful for disciples of Jesus Christ to reevaluate once in a while. But do that kind of test before the Lord and see, are you living according to who you are in Christ and as a true believer of Jesus, that He's the Lord of your life, or no? That can be very revealing and helpful. And then ask for courage and boldness and open doors when you pray. We see the early disciples, they were known for, even when they were being persecuted because of their evangelism, they said, God, give us courage, give us boldness, and more open doors so we can keep preaching the gospel. We know the joy of evangelizing, following you in this, Jesus. And God was happy to answer that prayer, to give them courage, to give them boldness and open doors. And just think of Peter, for example, who denied Jesus and days later had the power and courage and boldness to boldly proclaim to thousands of people that Jesus is Lord. All right, another practical application is choose your friends carefully. Choose your friends carefully. What do I mean by this? As we wrap up, and I'm going a little longer than I wanted, but this is good to hear. Choose your friends carefully. Mind who your company is. If you're around people that are claiming to be believers, but they have no interest in ever engaging lost people, they drink a little more than they should, or they dabble in things they shouldn't dabble in, and they don't really have Christ at the center of their life, that's the kind of friend you can lovingly warn and try to exhort, but if they have no interest in moving closer to Christ, forget them. Move on. You don't have time for that. Find friends who love Jesus. Find friends who live for Him, and keep good company. Courage, boldness, faithfulness, these kind of things are contagious. And when you're around godly people, people who love the Lord and live for Him, your faith grows stronger as a result, and you live a more God-glorifying life as well. Choose your friends carefully. Practical application number 3, join a PMC short-term cohort. Self-promotion here, but it needs to be said because we have avenues of involvement. One of them is join a short-term cohort. And I've been blessed. And when I was made a missionary, when I became a missionary, they sent me all over the place. They broke me in hard and they broke me in quick, and I thank God for it all the time. I'm so thankful for the ministry that taught me and equipped me and trained me, and how they exasperated me in a sense, sent me out all over the place till I had nothing left at all, but I was operating on grace alone. It transformed my life, and I helped numerous little churches throughout all Italy evangelize their towns. We would go from town to town, place to place. I remember one guy, Daniele's dad, we'd be evangelizing in his area. He'd just stop the cars, block traffic a little bit, have us do a mime in the middle of nowhere, and gather people in front of the coffee bar, and we'd evangelize everybody. Then we'd get in the car and drive on somewhere else. I mean, it was fantastic stuff. It was like we were still living in the book of Acts. Marvelous time evangelizing together as a group. And I've heard testimonies from others as well that have been on teams that we led and took to different places and helped out little churches here in Italy. And I've heard grown people, old people that have lived over 50 years of their life. And they says, you know what, these 10 days, these 2 weeks, these 3 weeks, honestly, I've never felt more alive in all my life. This is why I'm still here. What have I been doing with my life all these years? Why have I never done this sooner? Why have I never been involved? So I know this feeling, and I know how great it is, and I've heard the testimonies, I've seen the lives transformed. For that reason, I can confidently say, consider joining a PMC short-term cohort. There's none to be joined this year because of all the complications, but in 2023, you and a group of others can come to a 10-day trip, 2-week trip, and help us reach the lost. Go and do different kinds of evangelism, and we'll get into that in just a moment. But I got to move forward a little quicker. Number 4, read the PMC blog post we just put out. So go to practicalmissions.org/blog. We have a book recommendation there for evangelism, books that are helpful for you to understand evangelism and become more confident in your role. Number 5, learn presuppositional apologetics. One thing that has transformed my life and is such a confidence booster when it comes to evangelism is understanding the presuppositional apologetic. In short, basically, nobody can know that they know anything at all without divine revelation, without God, the only one who knows all things. And such a powerful, such a great apologetic to understand and apply in evangelism. A whole nother topic. Maybe that'll be a good webinar in the future, but learn that. And I have some recommendations I'll make for that as well later on. Forget not, remember this as an application, forget not that Satan, he wants you doing anything but evangelism. Satan will help you prosper and do well and be busy as long as you don't evangelize. Satan is happy. He's okay if you just go to Bible study and keep learning a bunch of information and store it up, but never apply it and never actually go to the lost. He'll help you with that. He'll clap his hands. He's okay. He'll do anything. He's happy, Satan, with you doing anything but evangelize. Just remember that, okay? And lastly, know that Jesus is with you in a special way when you obey and evangelize. He really is with you in a special way. Just like Stephen, Jesus stood for him when he was being stoned. He really is with you in a special way. He enables you, he comforts you, empowers you, and gives you that joy of his as well as you do it. There is truly something special. And the last thing, very last thing for our lesson today is for parents, a little bonus for parents. I would say this: disciple and catechize your kids. 3 things I'm going to show real quick on the screen. Don't send your kids off just to the public school and pretend like they're going to be taught and raised by somebody else. Somebody famous, I think it was Vodi Bakum, said, don't expect to send your kids to Rome and have them not come back being Romans in operation for Caesar. Understand that they're being taught things, indoctrinated, and a Christian education is crucial. It really does make a big difference. I'm learning about it now because I'm a parent, and now we're doing schooling and homeschooling. So important. But also discipling. You have a limited amount of time with your kids. Disciple them well. Train them well, and they won't go astray. One thing you can do to catechize your kids. Friends gave me this here. My first book of questions and answers by Karen McKenzie. Phenomenal book. Every Sunday morning with our friends, we have the kids get together and we ask 2 or 3 or 4 questions from the catechism. A few nights each week, I go through some of these with Cornelius. Once a week or so, I go through all of them that we learned so far. He actually knows it. It's a going into his heart, his mind. He can remember these things. So important, so good. Don't overlook the power of doing catechisms. This book here, phenomenal. Theology. Basically, this is a systematic theology for kids. You can go through all the key doctrines of the Christian faith, and you can use it for years and years. Great pictures, great verses, so many ways to utilize this. Such a blessing. Get your hands on that if you're a parent as well. Make that a part of your family devotions. And lastly, I would encourage you to pick up this. The Biggest Storybook Bible storybook. Kevin DeYoung. Phenomenal. Just got this one recently. It's just, look at that sucker. I mean, it's beautiful. So well done. So beautiful. Well put together, very, very helpful, sound. You won't go wrong with that as well.